This week, we welcome Dan DeCloss, founder and CEO at Plextrac, joining us to talk about how the real work gets done, the case studies. In the security news, if software got a security grade, most people would get an F. SolarWinds hackers got some new source code, new old bugs in the Linux kernel, hack stuff and get blown up, stop hacking, air quotes, beer, weekly Chrome 0 day, Mirai lives long live Mirai, how attackers could intercept your text messages, and rigging the election, the homecoming queen election, that is. We round out the show with a special segment from our podcast series with Plextrac on purple teaming, featuring none other than Bryson Bort.
This is Security Weekly, for security professionals, by security professionals. Broadcasting live from G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island, it's the show where exploits run wild, packets aren't the only things getting sniffed, and the cocktails flow steady. It's Paul's Security Weekly.
Keeping up with security issues across thousands of web assets without the right approach to web application security is a daunting task. Get ahead with web vulnerability scanning automation from NetSparker, a leader in dynamic and interactive application security testing, known for its ease of use and accurate results. Detect a wide range of vulnerabilities in all legacy and modern web applications, address security bugs at scale by automating the confirmation process, automatically prioritize vulnerabilities, and assign actionable tickets to the right developers in their native workflows for rapid remediation. For more information on how to scale application security with ease, visit securityweekly.com/NetSparker.
Welcome to the show. But first, let me introduce you to the only in-studio host that doesn't have crazy COVID hair, Mr. Paul Sidorian.
Welcome everyone to Paul's Security Weekly. It's episode number 687, recorded on March 18th, 2021, right here in G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island, where I have two in-studio guests. Imagine that.
Count them, 1, 2.
In-studio host, rather, I should say. Mr. Larry Pesce is here with us.
Yeah.
Welcome. It's nice to have more than one person with me. I don't remember the last time there was actually more than
I know, like
one person as a host in studio with me.
This whole business is being able to open up more.
It's craziness, right? Yeah. Dr. Doug White is here with us as well.
Hi.
Welcome, Dr. Doug.
Hi. I feel funny.
Oh, it must be that thing I put in your drink. Sorry about that.
Oh, yeah, that. Yeah. No, I asked for that.
On the lines remotely, Mr. Jeff Mann is here with us.
I cannot express how jealous I am that you guys get to be in studio. My first road trip once I get a vaccination is Rhode Island.
Yay.
Yay.
Tyler Robinson's, he's busy right now. He put us on hold. He's like, hold. He's like, oh, I'll be right back. He's here with us, though. He's got a very important call with his drug dealer. And I can say things like that because he can't talk back to me, which is hilarious. Mr. Joff Thayer is here with us remotely. Welcome, Joff.
Oh, okay. So my only question is, what is crazy COVID hair? Actually, what is hair?
Yes, you've got a nice shiny going on. Mr. Lee Neely is here with us as well. Lee, welcome.
Well, I don't know what this crazy COVID hair thing is. We've been able to get haircuts up here since May. I mean, what the hell?
Oh, we can too.
I mean,
they choose not to.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Like, who do I have to impress?
The people in your office. Yes. Exactly.
This could go nowhere
The
good.
prosecution rests.
If you have a specific guest or topic you'd like us to cover on one of the shows, submit your suggestions for guests by visiting securityweekly.com/guest. Complete the form. We review those on a regular basis, so make sure you do that. Also, if you missed Security Weekly Unlocked, you need to go to our website again. This time you go to securityweekly.com/unlocked, and whether you registered for the event previously or not, you can, register if you haven't. In any case, go to securityweekly.com/unlocked, and you can watch awesome content, and you may have to register, depending on if you registered before. Or anyway,
just register anytime.
or just register
a whole lot.
Register again with
Yeah,
an
why
alias.
not?
No,
Yeah.
don't. Or not. I don't. You know what? It doesn't matter as long as you watch the talks. Anyway, Dan DeCloss, the CEO and president of Plextrac, joins us to run through some customer testimonials. Let's see. This segment is sponsored, of course, by Plextrac. It's the Plextrac show. You can go to securityweekly.com/Plextrac to learn more. Dan, welcome to the show.
Hey, Paul, great to be with you. And yeah, I'm a little jealous. You guys are in studio. That's pretty cool. Someday I'll make it out there. But I'm joining you from the beautiful Boise, Idaho, as you can see by my majestic background here.
Very nice. Yeah, it's nice to, be here in studio, have people here with me in studio. Yeah. I don't know if it was Joff or Lee said, when they get a vaccine, just throwing it out there, you register for a vaccine using a website. Just saying. Gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, that's it.
Been there, done that. Waiting.
Burp
Hey,
sweet.
it turns out my town is one of the 18 super duper federal vaccination centers. So
Nice.
I got in really quickly.
Oh, it's good.
It was cool.
I'm just jealous of all these states that you can get a vaccine if you're under the age of 60.
Yeah.
Unlike our state, you have to be 60 or older or have some other condition to be able to get one. And they're not opening it up to anyone.
Or you have to be a teacher.
Yeah, certain conditions. And here,
Or no burp
it'll
suite.
be 18.
Or
sorry, to be May before anyone over the age of 18.
Or you
Between
just
18.
have, like Tyler said, or you have burp suite. I mean, there's always...
Yep.
That's what
have
my
you
friend
checked-
Bob told me.
Yep.
Have you checked your body mass index? Because one of the long-term conditions is a body mass index over 30.
Unless it is they are sites run by your state and not FEMA.
How to hack your way to a vaccine coming up next on... So, Dan...
I figured in Rhode Island you just showed up at the vaccination center and went like, would
That'd be
Mr.
very Rhode
Mr.
Island.
Washington change your
Right.
mind? And
No,
yeah,
doesn't work like that.
no, I tried that. Yeah, it
Yeah, it's
didn't work.
two Washingtons. It's not just...
Yeah. So, Dan, other than how to hack your way to a vaccine, what else did you want to talk about in this segment?
Well, yeah, no, I mean, are we introducing the Purple Team episode? Is it
We
playing
can do that.
tonight?
It is, yeah. So we should give some background. We're going to talk about some case studies and testimonials that Dan has, but also we should tee up the. So we did what we call a podcast miniseries, and I got this idea watching HBO and watching miniseries. I'm like, we should do podcast miniseries because like we could just do like a few episodes, we could record them. And Dan and team were like, yeah, we're totally in. I'm like, and by the time they came out of it, they're like podcast experts now. Like he's so comfortable behind the microphone. So we're releasing the Plextrac miniseries this week. If you go to securityweekly.com/series, that's where our landing page is. I was telling the team earlier, like we send people to like way too many things off of the website. I feel like our audience is going to have fatigue, but if you do go to securityweekly.com/series, it'll be in the menus too. So just go to our website and you'll be able to find a 3-part series. And we did blue team, purple team, and red team. You'll be able to hear the purple team one on this episode. So we're going to air it on this episode. That was with Bryson Bort. Tyler Robinson was the guest for the red team one, and the blue team was myself, Dan, and Sean. It's Sean. Right? Sean.
Yep.
Yeah, from Plextrac. So Sean's in all of them too, as well. We don't want to downplay Sean.
Yeah.
Dan's in all of them. Sean's in all of them. And basically, we talked about these types of exercises in addition to blue team, kind of centered around like how you use Plextrac, how that. But actually, a lot of that isn't. It's more about actually doing these exercises with kind of a splash of like Plextrac in there, and how and Dan, I love your title for this is getting the real work done in security, because I think we can do all the red, purple, blue exercises we want, but if we're not capturing that in the right place, if we're not tracking that in a system, that work can be lost. So I think we really kind of captured the spirit of what you're trying to accomplish, Dan, with your company.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our mission at Plextrac is to, keep every security professional focused on identifying and working on the right things, right? And so that was what that whole goal of that podcast series is, and we're excited about it. I think it turned out great, and I think it'll be really beneficial for everyone that listens. It's not just a Plextrac plug. It's certainly a discussion around what does it mean to get the real work done? What is the real work? How do you identify it? So I think definitely tune in, definitely go check it out. And I'm sorry if you have to listen to my voice for too much this hour and however long you got to pull down those episodes, but I think you'll find them valuable for sure.
Yeah, we balanced it out. Bryson was in this one, since the purple team one's going to air with Bryson, really Well, he's dressed as a unicorn, so make sure you check out the video because it's
and
hilarious.
the beard is
is epic.
It's in full form.
It's epic, and really dug deep. Into purple teaming and what that really means and how it's so like I got to ask questions about like, so when you do a purple team, like why do you do XYZ, and if so, why and how? And I thought that was really interesting.
So,
and Dan, lots of people use your product, thankfully. And basically my call to action for you, Dan, was like, look, our audience listens to us talk to sometimes sponsors and vendors, and they appreciate the information when we talk about the problem, when we talk about the solution and how it works. But what they want to hear is, well, like, tell me about someone that actually solved the problem. Like, tell me a story. And I think you have a couple of stories for us today, and maybe start telling the first one, and then all of us will collectively chime in, mostly probably roasting you a bit.
I expect nothing less, right? Yeah. No, I mean, we've got, I've got, obviously the nature of the customers that we deal with, we can't always include their names and who they are, and rightfully so. I think it's appropriate. They want to. Every company's going to have issues on logo usage. So getting case studies out of some of our customers is not always easy. I'll point you to our website for one of the case studies that I'm going to talk through a little bit. But the two cases that I kind of wanted to highlight are one with one that is public, and that's with our Richie May, and that was based on our assessments module. We have the questionnaire-based assessments module focused with individuals and teams that are doing questionnaire-based assessments, framework-based assessments. And so we'll kind of run through them. And then I've got another one where it was kind of a cloak and dagger case study. We can't mention who they are. And I know that kind of seems like, oh, you're just making stuff up. But it's true. I'm Scout's honor, but we'll talk through about, it was an internal pen testing team for a large organization, and just the productivity increases and morale increases. I thought that one was really interesting as we started talking to them more about, we were looking for customers that have been on the product and on the platform for longer than a year, been year over year users, and I'll say our point of contact there, he always just says, hey, I'm happy as a clam. Our team is happy as a clam. So, it's a good dad joke there too. But so I think we'll start with the pen testing team, right? Because that's kind of all of our roots, right?
Yeah,
well, I mean, not really, all of ours, but
you really did set out with the pen tester in mind, the independent, external, third-party penetration tester, right?
Yeah. I mean, it was a little bit focused from the consulting side, just because that was a lot of my background, but it really has worked well from the enterprise testing teams as well. And obviously, what we're also finding now is people are getting into these automated pen testing platforms and needing a way to integrate the results into Plextrac as well, which is great. So we're continuing to build out integrations with platforms like that. But this group, they came to us. They were one of our earlier customers, and they were looking for a way to automate their pen test reporting. And it was a big challenge for them. They were using another product that wasn't meeting all of their needs and helping. There was a lot of user interface issues that were causing a lot of friction, and so they came to me from a recommendation from another friend of theirs. We get a lot of referrals that way too, which is nice. So they had heard about us, and so we started working with them, and they liked kind of the trial that they had, and so they joined up and started using it, and so we just kind of stayed close. And after about the year mark, I kind of came back to them and said, like, hey, how are things working for you guys? And they couldn't be they couldn't be more thrilled with the product, which is great. But I was like, so what kind of metrics are you guys? Have you been able to track any kind of metrics on anything in terms of an ROI from your investment with Plextrac? And so they really mapped out all the things that they were able to do. So from a productivity perspective, they were able to conduct about 20% more penetration tests throughout the year, spread across their team. So when you think about that, if you have a 5-person team, that's like genuinely a whole person, right? That they didn't have to go hire. And I'm not saying that we're trying to automate away pen test jobs. It's the fact that finding pen testers is a hard thing, right? And if you're a good pen tester, you have a job already, right?
But also Dan, difficult maybe is the wrong word, but a fickle bunch to market a product to penetration testers, as you said, they were using another product and they're like, the user interface is just terrible, which is interesting because I think as pen testers, we use a lot of interfaces that are pretty terrible and we have to muddle through it, right? Or better yet, we're testing an interface and we're like, wow, that is a terrible user. My job here is to hack, but if I were a user, I'd be really unhappy. But now your product is for pen testers. So did you get a lot of free pen tests in the beginning too? I'm sure they like to point out.
We still do.
Yeah.
Free pen test.
They're not
No,
shy
it's
about,
great.
hey, Dan, you get this cross-site scripting in there and, developing a web app, being a developer myself, sometimes more often than now, it's difficult not to have some kind of bug that, someone like a Larry, Tyler, or anyone else is going to go, yeah, so I kind of ran that through Burp Suite a little bit. And
So, about that.
Larry's going to report something to me right on the show. I can guarantee it, right? Or Tyler.
That's it.
But yeah, no, yeah.
No,
we
this
do get
is
a lot of
not
free
the
pen
full
tests
disclosure mailing list. No, this is not the full disclosure.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that is nice about kind of our clientele is, they're going to test it, and we fully expect them to, and appreciate it, and they we have had some good reports. Fortunately, nothing like super major, which is great, but I think that's one thing, you and I have talked about before, Paul, is being, I wasn't a web app pen tester, so I was looking out for all the things that I would test against, and it's not the easiest job to try and avoid some of the more common security issues within web app testing, but that's just kind of a side note. But yeah, so they tested it out, and obviously just we're loving it. And I think some of the things that they highlighted were just the ease of use, the simplicity, being able to go right to where they needed and getting that report written. We obviously customized the template that you can export into, and that was a big win for them as well. It's interesting, kind of thinking of the history of Plextrac. My goal was to get away from, and it still is, to get away from document-based delivery of findings, right? There's certainly a value to having a document as an artifact of the engagement, but it can't be the primary mechanism for managing results of a pen test in any kind of assessment, right? Because it's static, it's not real time, and you're copying and pasting stuff, and you lose information. People lose sight of some of the findings in those reports. So that was the whole goal of Plextrac originally. So I was very adamant to try and avoid any kind of document-based exports of Plextrac. But being an early startup, you're gonna accommodate needs of customers. So this was a customer that really helped kind of push me over the edge of, okay, we're gonna support the custom templates, right? Because they had some internal policies around things that required some of those custom templates. But so it was that was a good experience for them as well, being able to export their reports into their custom format template, which obviously is a great feature for everybody, right? If you're a consulting firm or just a larger organization, you can keep everything in your look and feel, and really can customize that document export to whatever you want it to look like, and have multiple forms of the export with the same data, and that saves a lot of time. So those were some of the key features early on that they were really clued into. But I think some of the other things that really helped them save the time was the ability to write those custom narrative sections early on, be able to assign and have workflows around their pen test reports. And so they certainly gathered a lot more time back in their day. They were able to go deeper on assessments in terms of being able to spend more. If you had to spend, so overall, it sounded like they saved about 20% of their time, throughout their whole year in terms of being able to do 20% more work.
Dan, I have a question about that. So, were they like Microsoft Word writing reports and then using Plextrac?
You mean before their report writing process? Well, like I said, it was like a different tool that still did some similar stuff, but getting out to a Word document, right?
Yeah.
And that's still their mechanism today. It's just the ease of use with Plextrac. Things like our write-ups database was much easier to use.
Yep.
So if you have those reusable findings,
like especially from a pen tester, we have these religious arguments about Emacs versus VI versus Nano. I think, a lot of us, you get comfortable in as much as we have a love.
There's only one answer.
I agree.
There is
I agree.
only one
There is only VI, but we get comfortable with an editor for writing Microsoft Word for really lack of anything else. How was their transition to writing inside of your interface, right? Because I'm assuming you have to transition from Word to, they use another product, right? But in there, how has that transition been? Maybe not just for this customer, but others.
Yeah, I think people welcome it, very, very much. I think as we've grown as technology, we're all used to now writing in web-based platforms, right? And so the fact that you can do rich text editing is an easy transition. And I think people want to throw Word out the window if they can, right? Yeah. And so I've not met people that love writing reports in Word, especially when you're like dealing with pen tests or evidence of like screenshots and all these things where you've got
does the text go
tons of information
above my image, on the side of my image? Like, we can do like really crazy stuff on a pen test, and then you get to write in the report and like, I just want the text over what the
yeah, or this screenshot is like, was taken on a high-res Mac, and so you got to shrink it down like 20 times before it actually fits to the page. Things like that really just I think one thing that's always interesting to me is sometimes we as pen testers or technologists don't recognize how much our time is worth, and what people are paying us to do. And so like sometimes you just kind of stop and think, man, I just spent 2 hours resizing screenshots,
and formatting my image so the text looks right around it, right?
2 hours.
And it's like, is this really the best use of my time?
And then it gets all screwed up about 15 minutes later. You get it all just right, and then you change.
And then change something above it. And
and
shifts it down. And it's like, oh god.
No. Or somebody else comes in and edits and screws up everything you spent the last 2 hours fixing
by putting a comment in.
Yep.
Oh my god, that is such the experience though too. I mean, it's like, oh my god, you're killing me. You're killing me.
Beyond making the editing process. Go ahead. I was going to ask, beyond the editing process, don't you also help with consistency of process overall? Repeatable?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, you have a single platform to consistently do the same types of engagements and those kinds of things. So everything just starts to remove friction throughout the engagement life cycle. And that's one thing that our customers are really excited about all the time, right? Is that obviously I'm tooting my own horn, but like, they can't imagine life now after, from what it was like before Plextrac. Like it's really just, it's becoming, it's just a part of their necessity for how they execute their program. But yeah, all the workflow management and things like that really speed up the amount of time that it takes to execute an engagement. And I think that what's another thing, now this is just a side note, it's not necessarily with this customer that I'm talking about, but having that consistency of being able to also train up younger or more junior level pen testers or any kind of assessors, where you have, this is our methodology, you can line it out. These are the things that we're always going to test for, really make a difference. And I think also, help, grow the field, grow the talent that we need to be able to fill these gaps that we have within organizations. Because I think every organization, whether they're, I would say most mid-sized organizations and up are already thinking about how are they going to build out some form of a pen testing capability within their environment, right? The annual pen test just doesn't cut it. And so a lot of organizations are continuing to figure out ways to build up that capability in-house. And so a platform like ours really helps facilitate those engagements on a continuous basis. And then the flip side of that is, or not the flip side, but the end of that, not the end, but just part of that process is the tracking and remediation life cycle. So not just being able to get the report into their hands, but being able to collaborate with them through the platform on the remediation life cycle. And Dan, so that's a huge time saver.
Collaboration with customers is fantastic, but we also, just mentioned that there's collaboration between pen testers on the same team, and we review or contribute to each other's reports. Often, this is another kind of Microsoft Word nitpicky thing. We leave comments for each other, and like Google Docs used to be pretty terrible at this, right? You leave a comment or you make an edit, And then like if you look at it with editing on, like you can't, the document is unreadable because there's all these like red lines through everything and green text and all this stuff. Do you find that pen testers have a better time helping each other review their work in Plextrac?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, being able to keep everything in one platform and not having, I mean, just scrolling through a Word document is a pain, right? And so being able to assign items to users and things like that. And
I see. So you make it modular. You make it modular because no matter what technology you have, everyone working on the same document, there's always issues. When we used to use a wiki, right? There's issues. I mean, it's not always horrible, but there's always collision issues. And remember, we used to use Lotus Notes. We used to have a lot of document collisions, right? But what you're saying in Plextrac, you can modularize. So Larry's got this section, Paul has this section. We write our sections independently, and then we can put them together and review each other's work.
Yeah, and we're continuing to enhance those capabilities as well. I mean, we've got some exciting stuff coming this year that I think everyone's going to be really excited about as well. Just continuing to get in that mindset of the document export is really an artifact. It's not how we're going to continue to communicate findings and risks to organizations and internal departments within our enterprise, right? So that's ultimately the goal. But with this particular customer, not only were they able to overall save an inordinate amount of time on the assessments they were currently conducting, specifically within the reporting lifecycle phase of the life cycle, they were upwards of 60 to 75% of just the time saved on reporting, right? So if you think about how much time that gets you back into the engagement, you can go deeper on the assessment. You can find the more intricate vulnerabilities, which ultimately leads to better security, right? And I think that's obviously the mission, right? Is to find those, especially like for us web pen testers. It's like you find that super intricate vulnerability on Friday at like 3 p.m., right? Because you spent the whole week learning the application, and you're like, this is where I dig in really, really deep. And so the more time you have to go that deep on an assessment, the better security you're going to be able to provide to your organization, because you're actually going to be able to report those things. And I thought that was a really interesting tidbit of information. And then finally, like one thing that has always stuck out to me is that their team has higher morale, which that was an interesting side effect that I was not necessarily anticipating. Obviously, nobody likes writing reports, and it's not that like people love writing reports, but they like using Plextrac to do it because it's so much easier and saves them so much more time. And
are you saying you made it so people like wriring reports, Dan?
See, I don't want to say that. I want to say that they like it better.
They like it better. Because the bar was set really low before, so they like it better. It's safe. It's safe.
I think the way you should actually phrase that is, I like it less bad.
It sucks
less.
It
sucks less. Yeah.
Josh gets his marketing wings.
Yeah.
Is there like a test data set? There was a comment on Discord about it would be nice to teach this in school, and I was wondering, are there like test data sets that you could use so that students who are studying this could pull those test data sets together, that have known outcomes, known expectations? Because one of the really big challenges for educators on any of this stuff is building data sets to work with, because it's really hard. I mean, I've done it, and it's really hard to put together stuff like this, just like Wireshark data or anything else. Yeah, you can go capture a whole bunch of stuff, but then, it's really tough to pick through that and get good sets that are clean, that aren't going to have problems. And I was just wondering.
That is a great question. I mean, we have our write-ups database. I mean, those are kind of pre-built findings that come from various sources like Burp and AWS config scans, those kinds of things. So those are ways that you could like generate a skeleton report of a pen test or any kind of assessment. We also have our questionnaires that come with the the CIS top 20, but those are going to be geared towards, and even like CMMC and PCI, those are going to be geared towards those questionnaire based outcomes. But I think that's a great idea, and we'd be happy to work with. We worked with one of my good friends is a professor at the University of Washington, and we gave his class an access to Plextrac. It was a pen testing course. It was like red teaming and blue teaming, and so they used it for their exercises of how to, what a red team finds and how to report that to a blue team and how to come up with the recommendations. So, I mean, we're more than happy. We love giving back to the community in that regard. So just shoot me an email, dan@plextrac.com, and we'll get them squared away.
Well, there's probably a lot of people would be interested in that, because a lot of these products that come out, as more people are teaching these kind of materials, it's really useful to have things from that work that you can use in class easily, and you'll get a lot more adoption, that way by people that don't have to go out and build their own data sets if you've got nice templates, nice examples, and things like that.
It's the Apple model. Yeah, get it in the hands of students.
You go.
Right? Well, you get and that is very smart. I mean, you get it to students. When students graduate, they go to their employers, because the forensics did this, and some of the big forensics companies started, basically giving us like we got FTK, which goes to $8,000 a license for free.
Right.
And the students learn it, and then when they get jobs, they go, "Why are we using this instead of FTK? Because I know that." And so it is a smart marketing move, but it's also very useful to get people to adopt it when there's stuff like that available, because it really facilitates you teaching a class on that and doing it well.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, that's a great idea. I mean, and obviously we love working with the training and education community for sure. So we'd be, and we do have, some baseline templates that people can, like, here's what a good pen test report looks like. We've got tons of experience now in that. We've probably converted over 200 templates from different customers. And I think this is just a side note. Obviously there's different qualities of different types of assessments, and some of the more elite, what the industry would call the elite teams that we work with, their reporting templates are very simple. And I think that's just an important aspect, in that how you communicate risk is and the services that you provide are really what's most important, right? Probably the ones that get really convoluted and complex, you're probably not doing it right. And so we advise our customers on those kinds of things as well, right?
So I was thinking, I was in an earlier conversation today about, so many people don't know how to write reports. How do you teach them? And I'm thinking that's right where Doug's going too. You not only have sample data, and probably in the labs you can collect data over time as you create different labs, but then being able to teach the students what to do with it and how to make it look right. Holy crap!
That is super. That's super challenging too, because I teach forensics, and one of the biggest time spends we have is me harassing people. I have all these warnings in there, like, you may well cry, because I'm going to give you so much grief about your reporting because you don't know how to clearly and concisely tell me what you found, and it's amazing. It is amazing how bad these things can be. I mean, pen testing reports too. I mean, they can just be horrible.
But in school, that's the time to make those.
It is, and I mean,
mistakes.
That's when you want to make people cry. That sounded bad.
No,
but I mean,
you really enjoy making your students cry. Like, you're not learning with Doug if you haven't broken down to tears at least twice.
Yeah, exactly.
In the first
that's like a graduation requirement. But I mean, seriously, it's like I literally read forensics reports to people on video. So you send me your report, I read it to you on video, and I just literally say what I think about it, like when I'm reading it. And it's just astounding that people don't.
But I wish people did that for me.
No, they should.
It wasn't until I was writing professionally well into my career before I got a team that was like, where did you learn how to write?
Yeah.
Like, you suck. And I'm like, thank you so much, because my writing actually improved, because you need that. And I think it's good that you're putting that in. And I mean, that needs to be earlier on in the.
And then when you give these reports to upper management, they will eat you alive. I mean, they are going to read it. When they don't understand it, they will literally come after you, and it's going to be high level people who are going, "Wow, this guy's a yahoo. Why did we hire him?" I mean, or in court, I mean, you're going to get absolutely flambéed in a deposition because you made mistakes, or you just don't know how to organize material. And pen test is in many ways is even more difficult than forensics, because it's so esoteric. so much of what you're doing is, involves jargon. I mean, a lot of times forensics reports are like, he had a noose and here's a picture of it, or, and I mean, it's pretty straightforward. When you get into pen test stuff and you're talking about port 7700 was open, and people are going, wait, what's a port exactly? And I mean, it just gets so complicated so fast.
Admittedly, on a pen test report, there's potentially multiple different audiences, and that you write to your audience. You have different portions of the report that are getting written to specific audiences, and some of those audiences need to be at least this tall to ride the ride.
But they may not be,
and they may not. And I've had my share of those customers too. So,
right. Yeah. So, aren't we also doing collaborative report generation? It's not just one report by one author, because I was thinking one of the other hard. Go ahead.
In Plextrac, is that what you're asking?
Yeah,
absolutely. Yep.
Because one of the other hard things to learn is when somebody else is editing your work, not to take it personally and go two-part on them. And that's another good skill.
Yeah, I think absolutely. That's one of the highlights of Plextrac is the ability to keep a consistent report across multiple contributors and editors, right? Getting that final product output into a consistent manner, even with writing and findings databases, makes a huge difference having something that generates a finalized, formatted document that can then further be edited. That's the nice thing about Plextrac is it doesn't change your process as much to the point of you can't adopt this now. You can adopt this now, use it, and output a report that then gets further edited or sent to multiple SME reviews or copy editors. All that stuff still happens and can output a docx, but it just is more consistent. You're not wasting time on the things that don't matter, and you're getting consistency on your findings. And or the process and methodology, using stuff like the run books and the methodology pages. The run books are a fantastic just tool in general so that you have consistent testing and you're able to mentor and have consistent documentation in a single place where reports are getting written and can be referred to as the reports are being generated. Those are huge from a pen test standpoint, and it's very, very hard to orchestrate that across a large team. For those who have led many teams and been in charge of doing this across multiple engagements and multiple customers at the same time, keeping that consistency and all the info straight and all the testers straight and making sure all the progress is still moving forward and you're not passing docs all over and you got versioning issues. This solves a lot of the things that cause people to rage on pen tests.
And you want consistency from pen test to pen test to pen test too by these teams. And I do think products like this really facilitate that, because when you get a lot of variation, some of these reports are going to result in litigation. They're going to result in all kinds of things. And you want that consistency, as you develop your reporting style for your company or your group or whatever. And I mean, I was always trying to do that when we were doing these kind of reports and, trying to say, we need to make this look just the same. It needs to be in the same format. It needs to be the same style, from this one to this one to this one.
We need to prove fiduciary harm.
Yes, that's right.
Favorite terms. Dan, did you have another case study from switching to the internal pen test red team side? Was that the other?
Well, so that one was the internal pen test team, right?
Gotcha.
They were internal, but they were able to get more done, go deeper on assessments, have higher morale. So I think one thing from the enterprise perspective is that they didn't have to go hire another penetration tester, and that meant saving time on that hiring process, saving time on that internal training process, and still get the same amount of work done, right? So we were a force multiplier for them, and that was kind of rounding out that little case study.
And so your next case study was centered around what now? I forget. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was an actual consulting firm that is more focused on governance, risk, and compliance type of assessments. So they do a lot of, and this one is public. We publish this on our website. And I'll also mention, just side note, we do have several white papers out there, and one of them is how to write a penetration test report.
Nice.
So that's always a great resource for those of you that, based on what we've seen.
Now wait, Dan.
Excuse me, Dan.
You're a pen test tool, but now Jeff's going to ask you questions about compliance. So brace yourself.
Here it comes. No, I'm not. I actually want to mention that I filled out the form on your website to get the how to write a killer pen test report like a half hour ago, and I'm still waiting for the confirmation email.
Still waiting.
Look, Dan's going on his keyboard. He's shouting at his employees, going, "What are you doing?
Where is it?" Yeah.
Not to call you out or anything.
Jeff, I almost spit bourbon onto my computer.
God damn it.
Sorry.
Don't waste bourbon.
Dan's like, wait, I thought you were, Dan's like, hold on, like, can I get a compliance question instead?
Yeah. I can certainly ask a compliance question or two. How are you guys coming along with grappling with PCI?
Ding.
That's
good.
That's a softball question.
Right. Yeah. So Jeff, we actually help with PCI in vuln management aspects as well. In terms of companies complying with PCI, right? But from the assessment side, we have a lot of consulting firms and internal teams for enterprises that do the regular PCI assessments. So we actually have the capability now to export into the PCI ROC, which that is a beast, right? Of a template. So that's one nice thing about that custom templating feature within Plextrac is that we can get into those formats. But we have the assessment that you can take for PCI and use to just track those results. So Richie May is the group that they did the case study for us, and they do all kinds of great assessments. It's interesting. They're one of the, and I don't want to misspeak because I don't know all the details of and what I'm allowed to share, but they do some really cool, interesting assessments for some other industries in media, and so there's certain compliance frameworks that they also use Plextrac to be able to conduct those assessments as well. But their case study shows also a 20% improvement from being able from soup to nuts of conducting an engagement. So not only improvement on the reporting side, but actually facilitating the engagement. So we have this questionnaires module, and the runbooks module is very similar. We're finding a lot of people saving the same amount of time during their engagement through runbooks as well. That module is obviously a little newer. But with the assessments module, you can build out your own questionnaire. You can use a template, a baseline questionnaire like the PCI assessment or CMMC we have built out. So you can use those, but then you can also tweak them and edit them to make them your own, and conduct those assessments on a routine basis throughout the engagement, throughout the year with our platform. Each engagement can submit and normalize into a standard report, just like every other report that gets generated in Plextrac. So they have a great case study in a white paper as well. It's a white paper on our website, just about using Plextrac and the improvement that they've made, and they're continuing to expand their assessments that they can conduct now because of us, right? So, or as an assistant to their process.
So what would be really, I still have the compliance floor until Paul rips it. What would be really cool in a report that is the output of red teaming, blue teaming, whatever exercises from a PCI perspective is if you have a finding, and let's just say it's a vulnerability finding, and let's say it's a misconfiguration. It would be really cool if a report, not saying it has to be you guys, would say, we found this problem, this misconfiguration, and yes, you need to go fix it, but also you need to, it would be really cool if you could flag, this impacts your PCI compliance because you're now missing the boat on PCI DSS requirement, X.Y.
So did you know that we can do that, or are you saying that would be cool if we did that? Because we can do that.
if you can do that, you have my interest. I would love to see a demo example, something along those lines, if that could be arranged.
We have a whole mini series coming out that you can go ahead and check out on Security Weekly. Just coming right up.
So which of the three episodes focuses on PCI, Tyler?
Yeah, they don't. We
probably mine. I'm sure.
No, we actually toyed with doing a whole segment on compliance, but decided against it at this time, just because we thought blue, red, and purple were more interesting.
Based on audience demand, we can.
It wasn't a color. It was. You know why? It wasn't a color.
Right.
So we wanted to cover the colors first.
Yeah.
But I really do think we should.
If compliance was a color, what color would it be?
We have to open that up.
Burnt umber.
So if only we had a podcast, we could talk about compliance. I mean, Do we know of anywhere we could talk to Dan about that?
No,
nothing comes to mind.
Nothing comes.
There's a range of shows out there. I'm sure we can find one.
Hey, I know. Security and Compliance Weekly. We could talk about it there.
I like this idea.
Yeah,
because I was actually kind of Dan's like, we do like compliance when help with compliance reporting.
You should do it. Just do it on Security and Compliance Weekly. I mean, they do that full length show all the time, and that'd be a great. That's a great topic for that show.
All right, I'll talk to you next Tuesday, Dan.
There you go.
Okay, all right.
Had it now,
Andrea. Make it happen.
Make it so.
Make it so. All right, I yield the floor, Paul.
Thank you, Jeff. So Dan,
I'll second that.
Anything else on the customer that was using it more for compliance-focused tasks and tracking?
No, I mean just the ability to start their engagement process, do it all within the platform, immediately generate the report, and then from there manage those results, tag them, and compile the findings for the customer however they want them to be seen, and then export into their document in their format and their branding. It continues to save them an inordinate amount of time. And so that just removing that friction in their process has really been, the most valuable for them. It's still crazy to me. And Jeff, I don't know if you see this, how many assessments get done in spreadsheets. And I've been in this space for 15 plus years.
Is there any other way?
I know, it makes my my joints hurt seeing it.
No, I actually abhor spreadsheets like most of us, but yeah, most of them are done multiple spreadsheets for multiple tasks.
Yeah. So
but I don't
trying to do our part to help.
Well, cool. Dan, you and I have had this conversation, the spreadsheets, and why it's a tool to accomplish a task, but not a collaborative tool that really helps you get the work done. I think it helps you achieve tasks. It doesn't help you improve the efficiency in your workflow and actually get things done.
Yeah. Oh, and that reminds me, one other thing that is another benefit of the using the Plextrac is at the end of the day, then they can view the analytics module. So I think, there was discussion around having that consistency across reports. And then in the analytics module, you can actually compare year over year reports and start to see, hey, we know these were conducted in a consistent fashion. So therefore the metrics that are coming out of those are more reliable in terms of last year we had 100 findings, this year we have 50. These are the ones that are more critical, and so you can start to get that analysis and benchmarking established, which is really important when you're trying to talk to your directors or your board, your executive staff around, are we making progress? Are we getting better, right?
Conveying metrics and keeping track of that across multiple pen tests has been a problem for a long time and still is a major problem. That's one of the big things that major companies are looking for, is that consistency across metrics, the ability to track or remediate, ask questions, have that continual communication with your pen test or offensive team, and then the ability to have those metrics in one place, and maybe even take reports and import them from older places. But that's something that Word docs can't do. Yeah, we need that snapshot in time, and everybody is always there for that deliverable. But at the end of the day, we've got to get past this Word document generation for making security improve, right? That's like getting to secure and being a destination in security. It's not the process. Security is consistently improving and consistently changing, and we're always moving forward and adapting. So why are our reports so static, where they're getting lost and buried in a file server in a share that maybe the executive staff looked at once a year ago when they had a yearly compliance or whatever audit? We've really got to get past that and make strides in something that is more modern, whether that's a interactive HTML page, whether that's Plextrac. Across the board, I think that is a huge area that security is failing in, and consistently we see good tools, good UIs, good places that are doing this in other vectors within inside of security, just not in our reporting and offensive delivery or remediation.
That's why you need standardization too, so that you can get to those kind of standardized metrics, because I agree with you. I want to see I don't want to see a metric here that says this is bad and the same metric over here and it says this is good, even though they're really the same thing. And you have to standardize up, or you won't ever be able to compare and contrast. And you're starting to see more interest in that, I think, in the big industry, not just an individual. More people are wanting to see reports that can be released and stuff that can be standardized, so they can compare themselves to those reports.
Yeah, well, I use the term attestation all the time, and maybe half the people that I ever talk to understand what that word means. So maybe I'll try to keep evangelizing like the importance of attestation, and that regardless of what firm is doing the test, we do need a standardized way to attest security, right? And I think you're right. I think that we're continuing to gravitate towards that. What's interesting too to me is the penetration test is one of the most serious tests that's going to be conducted in your environment. It's gonna open your kimono as deep as anyone's going to go. Right?
Colonoscopy.
Wow. I agree with you philosophically, but the PCI reality for most companies is it's lowest cost. Let's get it over with. Let's get it done.
So what he's saying though, Jeff, is that your pen testing is really serious, but your compliance testing is a joke, is what was implied.
No, I did not say that.
What I'm saying, Paul, is most companies don't leverage the opportunity to conduct a pen test that could be the most important thing that they do. They go for the low bidder, low ball, just the bare minimum to get it over with type of thing. Even worse than the vulnerability scanning requirements.
And Dan, just for the record, exactly. Dan did not say compliance was a joke. I was
no. He said 911 was a joke.
And you almost made me forget the other thing. You brought up the word attestation. If only there was some compliance program that's been around for 17 years that produces an attestation of compliance on an annual basis.
Exactly. Yeah. Like the PCI ROC.
Well, the PCI ROC is a separate document. Now? I've been drinking for a while. There's a second document that's actually called the attestation of compliance, in which officers of the company say everything we've told our assessors is true to the best of our knowledge, and we're really doing all these things that we claim to be doing.
Gotcha.
Despite the best efforts of the QSA trying to prove them wrong.
We call that the first lie.
And despite the best efforts of the folks answering the questions to remain ignorant.
Yeah, that too.
Dan, I think you need to develop a PCI Center of Excellence in the Baltimore area.
There you go. So.
Just saying. There can be only one, Lee. I am the Baltimore.
I was just going to say it's been drinking for a while now.
There can be only one.
No need to reinvent the wheel. It exists already. Let's use it.
Dan, as always, it's been a pleasure. I had a lot of good laughs on this segment, actually, at the expense of compliance there towards the end. I apologize. It's really just a joke. But you can check out the series, securityweekly.com/series. It's actually a 4-part series. So red, I don't remember the order, red, blue, purple, and then a full demo of the product is what we put together. So you can consume that on YouTube. There'll be a playlist. You can get the audio. And I mean, I'll be transparent. Like, we do it as a series, and yes, there's 4, but I want there to be more in all of our series, right? And it could be soon, it could be later, but when you subscribe, you might not see something for a while, but we kind of want to, if you want more, tell us what you want to add on to that series. And you know what?
You just hit on the title of all of the series.
What's that?
Red, blue, purple, and transparent.
And transparent.
Yeah.
Transparent's the demo.
Yep.
I like
there
it.
You go.
That's the name of the whole. That's the name of the whole show. It's red, blue, purple, and transparent.
This is why I get paid the big bucks.
It is.
Mind blown.
Yeah, it's like that's
it. Somebody started paying Larry.
Wait,
you get
y'all getting paid for this?
Yeah, I just copyrighted the whole thing, Larry. So
you'll get a taste of purple at the end of the show. And Dan, thank you very much for appearing on this episode of Paul's Security Weekly. Make sure you check out securityweekly.com/series. And with that, we'll take a short break. Come back with the security news. Homecoming elections are hacked. Coming up next.